Hey everyone, I hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to Cart Gap and Happisburgh on the beautiful North Norfolk coast. I'm afraid it's going to be another voiceover vlog from me. I had a few technical hitches at the time, but I wasn't going to waste my time trying to sort that out because it was such a beautiful evening that priority was making the video and making images. So hopefully this will all work. It really was a gorgeous evening. It was late July and it was beautiful, quite windy summer evening, as you can probably see from some of the footage coming up, but it was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Happisburgh and Cart Gap, always wonderful place to visit, always stuff to shoot, and it's such a superb coastal location. So I'm not going to gas on about this intro or gas on with this intro. What we'll do, we'll go to the first scene that appealed to me, and we'll take it from there, and I'll take you through my thoughts for each sort of scene, take you through the images, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks ever so much for joining me for this. Like I say, apologies it's a voiceover again, but it's just nice to get a video out. Right, let's go and have a look and see what I saw first. Well, this was the first scene that appealed to me, and it's looking down at the cedar fences from the cliffs. I think my first thoughts were that this was going to be a long exposure image. I'll put up the sort of the more static image first, which was taken at a faster shutter speed. It's all very nice, but it doesn't really appeal to me. Perhaps if I was going to take an image like this, I'd want the sea to be wilder, moodier cloudscape, etc, etc. But I thought the beautiful aquatones in the sea here, combining with the other blues in the image and also with the area of sand, would make a really effective long exposure image. And for me, out of the two long exposure images I made, I like that square crop. It's rather nice, a little bit more graphic, quite pleasing. So I think this was a very simple, very simple shot, but a nice start to the evening, and hopefully things would get better, and they did, I think. So let's move on to the next scene that appealed. This viewpoint is just a few feet from where I took my initial images. It's a lovely view back towards the village, showing the sweep of the beach, the cedar fences, there's the church here. There's also a great view of the famous Happisburgh Lighthouse. Now, my quandary this evening was whether I go and photograph the lighthouse. There's a lovely crop in front of it, or there was a lovely crop at the time of filming, and I thought, no, I don't know what to do here. In the end, the coastal photographer in me won out, and I thought, I'm going to shoot some up here, and now I'm going to get down on the beach and shoot the cedar fences. But the view from the top here is absolutely lovely, and I think there's quite a few options. Like I say, I've had this view of the lady or gentleman doing the metal detecting here, which I think is quite a nice graphic image. The cedar fences themselves make a nice graphic image. Like I say, the lighthouse image is rather nice. So I'm rather pleased. In fact, the last 2 or 3 images here were ones that I took a couple of days earlier when I went to Happisburgh for a shoot, and it didn't quite happen for me. But I did manage to get 2 or 3 images, like I say, that I was quite pleased with. So I'll put them up now, and I hope you enjoy them. But I think it's time for me now to get down onto that beach and concentrate on shooting the cedar fences, because there's some beautiful white water, and I think that's going to make some lovely shots, and hopefully there'll be a splash of light too. So it was time for me, like I said, to get down onto the beach and shoot the lovely cedar fences and groins. But the problem that I had to start with was, though the sea is lovely and the movement is lovely, the light wasn't particularly good. Perhaps I was being a little bit fussy, but for me, these images here didn't really work very well for me. They just lack a little something, and I think that something is light on this occasion. Yes, they make sort of nice graphic long exposure images, but I wanted them lifted, so I took a couple here. I'm just sort of, in a way, getting my eye in, getting started, getting a feel for the evening, and hoping that something will happen to the light. But like I say, these are quite pleasing, but nothing special. And it was just a case of just sticking around and hoping that something did happen in the sky. Well, things are certainly starting to get a little bit better. The clouds looking quite impressive now, and hopefully we'll get some extra sort of tones and colours in the sky now, aside from just blue. So while I was waiting for things to get even more beautiful or spectacular, I had a look at the abstracts here, and this area of wet sand in front of me was just appealing for a little short detour from more wider shots. So I pointed the camera down, took some fairly long exposures, and got the sea coming in and out whilst concentrating on the lovely sand patterns. Simple shots, not really an awful lot to think about, nothing too heavy on technique side, just something pleasing for a couple of minutes while I was waiting for better colour. well, things really were starting to improve. The clouds were becoming beautifully defined, and I could see, looking towards the sun, that there was going to be some gaps where the light was going to come through. But this was my initial shot. Very nice, very simple, but I thought this will get me started. And this really was probably the start of my evening where I thought this is going to be really good. So, like I say, this is a very simple shot, long exposure shot, just using the 6-stop, and it got me started. But things were going to start to get fairly good fairly quickly. So, not long after the last image, we start to get a little bit of light coming through, and beautiful side light on the groins, an absolutely perfect angle. What I did here was I took this image in more static, or shall we say faster shutter speed, and I must admit I quite like the shapes of the waves as they were curling over. I was trying to capture that action, you know, put a little bit of movement into the image, and I was just as happy with these images as I was with the long exposure images. So this is a really nice start, and I really cannot complain about that light on the groins. Absolutely beautiful. You've got that lovely orange now against the blue, and it looks very effective. So I think this is a really good start, and hopefully the evening will just improve. Let's just see. Oh, I must say, I am really pleased with this image. There's some beautiful warm light coming through now. I'm really quite fond of this, because what's made it for me is that stone in the foreground. The way the stone has caught the light, and there's that beautiful diagonal that leads to the waves. If you'll see what I mean, hopefully with some pointers if you get what I'm trying to say. But this is lovely. I'm so pleased. And like I say, I cannot see anything going wrong with the light tonight. There's nothing going to happen. We're not going to lose it. It's just going to be beautiful. So let's move on to the next scene and see what I did there. I'm not sure if this composition of the final image, after I've shown you this initial video clip, will be to everyone's taste. I rather liked it. I think the light is absolutely gorgeous, and I've placed the groins to the right on the image. Now, for me, that works quite nicely. People may disagree, but like I say, when you got light like this, you can't really go wrong, and it's just absolutely beautiful. I think this is quite an effective image, and I hope you guys agree. Please let me know if you don't think so, or if there's anything that could be improved with it, but I'm rather pleased with this one. So now we're starting to get that lovely sort of twilight red tones coming into the sky. Now, what I wanted to try and avoid here was taking too many long exposure images and forgetting to take more static images. Yes, the long exposure images are fantastic and gorgeous, but what I didn't want to lose here was the definition in the sky. All those wonderful shapes that are coming through now would be lost on a long exposure image, because they would look, you know, the sky would look a little bit too mushy, and I wanted to show the definition and the shapes. So what I did was I took both versions, which there's plenty of time to do with both versions. Straight image, for want of a better word, and the long exposure image. I think they're both effective, but I must admit I prefer the straighter images where there's a little bit of action in the sea rather than a milky effect, and you've got that definition in the cloud. But the light is just getting better and better. And what a beautiful evening. I was so lucky. My initial images at the beach were taken with the 35mm, but for these shots I switched to the 50mm, and as you can probably see, I've stepped back from the waves and from the shoreline a bit and taken advantage of this lovely wet sand reflecting the groins, the waves, and that fantastic sky with those wonderful magenta tones. Absolutely gorgeous. So I did my usual stuff here. I took some more faster shutter speed images, well, relatively fast, shall we say now at this time of the day, and my usual sort of 6-stop images, and just experimented again. Absolutely beautiful. What absolutely cracking light. I was so lucky this evening, and it was so quiet. Isn't it strange, as you know, us photographers are out at beaches at this time of evening where the light is gorgeous and everyone's gone home, and I always find that hard to believe. I'd want to sit and look at this forever, these colours, but there we go, that's how things are. Wonderful. Let's move on to the final images of the evening. So the sun has gone down, but there's still a beautiful luminance in the sky, as you can probably see in this little bit of footage. So what I did was I concentrated on some more of the groins towards the cart gap end of the beach, and shot in lovely blue light. Now, I love shooting in blue light. Blue has always been one of my favourite colours, and I just like images like this. So it's a case of concentrating on the groins. Yes, they're all going to be long exposure type images again. Hope you're not bored with long exposure images, but I certainly wasn't. I was having a whale of a time. So these were my initial ones, using this wonderful bit of rusted metal from the old, from the old cedar fences, and I thought that made quite a nice sort of foreground bit of interest. But see what you think. I prefer, out of the two, I prefer the more square shot. I think that's rather nice. I didn't focus on the foreground rusty. I thought it doesn't matter if it's in focus or not. It's just a way of leading you into the image. So that's my first sort of initial late twilight shots. So what we're going to do is now we're going to move on to some of the metal groins, and I'm going to show you some of the wonderful shapes that caught my eye. Actually, I was lying. I'm going to show you some of the wonderful waves that were breaking over the cedar fences. Yeah, they were quite spectacular. Like I say, the sea was not particularly choppy, but it was just the way that the waves crashed into the fences there and put up some beautiful white water. So I took 2 or 3 images here, just thought I'd catch them. And they're rather pleasing, nothing special, but again, it's just practice. Now, I really do love these parts of the groins. These metal shapes are absolutely fantastic. Now, I hope you can see here the beautiful luminance, and there's no light anymore, the sun has gone, but the beautiful luminance that was hitting these metal groins, absolutely fantastic. Really, really pleased with this. And again, I did my usual sort of static shots, long exposure shots, but the long exposure ones were the ones that appealed. And I shot more detailed shots and, wider shots. Absolutely fantastic late light, and I must admit I'm very, very pleased with these. Unfortunately, the detailed one where I'm a little bit closer to the groins, I misfocused slightly, which is rather annoying, but hey, it's not a problem. There's going to be high tides at Happisburgh and I'll be able to go back many a time, but it was just annoying because I quite liked my initial idea and I liked the area I'd chosen, so that's unfortunate. But the shots that I got here made up for it, and there's some great ideas for another visit. So yeah, that's lovely. So all I'm going to say now, guys, is thanks ever so much for joining me. Not very easy doing voiceover vlogs, as I think I said on my last one, but I hope this has shown you what a beautiful evening it was. And if you guys do want to know any technical information about any of the shots, just leave us a comment, and please do leave me a comment anyway. Feedback is most welcome, and I really enjoyed putting this one together, and it reminded me of such a beautiful evening. And hopefully I'll be out soon making more vlogs again. Like I say, it's been a bit of a summer break for me, but hopefully I can get out soon, and I hope you'll join me on my next photo adventures or whatever. So thanks very much, and I hope to see you soon. Take care, look after yourselves, stay safe. Bye for now.